Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. In this tutorial, we are going to talk about a very useful feature in DeepXDE, that is this error method. If you are working with physics informed neural network, you will know how important boundary conditions are. They ensure that your predictions match the physical laws of the problem. But the question is, how can we check if the boundary conditions are being followed properly or not? That's where this error method comes in actually. You can access this error method with all types of boundary conditions in DeepXDE, like the operator BC or the Neumann BC or the periodic BC or the Dirichlet BC. So basically this error method is available with all types of boundary condition commands that are available in DeepXDE, and it looks same in all these kind of boundary conditions actually. If you look at the error method in operator BC, it takes these input arguments. Similarly, in the periodic BC, it takes these arguments. So these arguments are same, but the way we need to provide the inputs for each type of this boundary conditions are a little different. We will explore these differences in detail in today's tutorial. First, before we dive into the error method, we need to understand these two important commands like model.predict and model.net. What are these actually? So these two methods are key to evaluate and understand the performance of your model. These two methods serve different purposes. For example, this model.predict. This is a high level function provided by the DeepXDE to make your predictions using your trained physics informed neural network. You can pass the inputs to this function in a NumPy array format, and you can expect the outputs also in a NumPy array, and you can just simply print them here in an NumPy array format. But this model.predict does not allow you to compute derivatives or gradients, which are sometimes very essential in neural networks like physics informed neural network for tasks like evaluating residuals of governing differential equations or boundary conditions. On the other hand, model.net is your go-to tool when you need more control and flexibility. This method gives you direct access to the underlying neural network. For example, here, this model.net takes the input as a tensor, unlike your NumPy array in the previous model.predict. In model.net, you have to give the input as a tensor, and the tensor format depends upon the backend. If you are using a PyTorch, then you have to provide this input tensor in the torch tensor format. If you are using TensorFlow, you have to provide this input in the TensorFlow tensor format, and similarly you can expect the outputs also in the tensor format. The only thing difference between this model.predict and the model.net is in the model.predict you don't have access to the entire neural network. In the model.net you have access to the neural network as a function, meaning you can compute gradients. So for example, here you just extracted the predictions here, you just extracted the predictions here also, but along with that you can also extract these gradients, and these gradients are very essential for evaluating the derivatives, these kind of things after the training is done. Here in this table I have outlined all the key differences, advantages and disadvantages of model.predict and model.net I have provided here. So please take a look if you want to know more about these commands. So the fundamental difference is simple. Model.predict just takes NumPy arrays and gives you the NumPy arrays. Model.net takes an input tensor and gives you an output tensor. But one additional advantage with model.net is you have access to the entire neural network as a function, so that you can compute the gradients or derivatives using the neural network. That's it. So let's look at this Dirichlet BC. So generally in Dirichlet BC, we apply the boundary condition on the primary field variables directly. Here, if you look at here, the Dirichlet BC is directly applied on the primary field variable. We don't need to evaluate the derivatives here actually. So that's why using simple model.predict is sufficient. Even though you are giving this inputs and outputs in the tensor formats, but you can explicitly use this model.predict, because this model.predict will give you some sort of NumPy array, and thereby we are converting this NumPy array into a tensor, output tensor, and we are giving that output tensors here actually. But one thing is, you no need to have the computational graph available, because computational graph is required only when you need to evaluate the derivatives using automatic differentiation. So here we are not bothered about with any of the derivatives. So like just we use this model.predict. So you will get this residual. So residual is simply the difference between the left hand side and the right hand side. But in the loss function, we evaluate the loss value, not the residual. So loss value is simply the mean square error of the residual value. So that's what we are evaluating here after finding the residual value. So here you will get this residual value, and when you print it, this is the residual value that you have got. And this residual value 1.167 e power minus 8 is same as this one, 1.17 e power minus. I'm taking a small screenshot of this so that I can easily in future. And next, when you take the Neumann BC, so in Neumann BC, what we do is we apply the boundary condition on the derivatives, on the first derivative primarily. So if you look at the Neumann BC, so here we are creating a tensor of x test value. So at 0, 0 we are applying this Neumann BC, right? So that we are putting. One primary difference is this tensor must be differentiable. That is the main thing actually. Here this tensor, whatever the numpy array input tensor, this no need to be differentiable in Dirichlet BC, but in Neumann BC this tensor has to be differentiable. That's why we are using this requires grad true, and we are sending this input tensor to this net, and this net is a model.net object actually. So we are getting this output as a tensor, and this tensor is further differentiable. That is the main difference. But if you look at the error function in boundary conditions, so this is a numpy array and this is a tensor, this is a tensor. So we need to provide this inputs and outputs in the tensor format, and we need to provide this x in the numpy array format. So here the first argument we need to send as a numpy array, but what we have available is this x test, which is a tensor. So to convert this tensor to a numpy array, first we have to detach the computational graph. So if you detach this computational graph, then you cannot evaluate the gradients using this tensor. But here, since we want a numpy array, we no need to evaluate the gradients using this numpy array. We have another x test variable that we are sending as a tensor. So if it wants the gradients, it will directly use this x test tensor to evaluate the gradients. So here we just need the numpy array. So that's what we are doing here. First we are detaching the computational graph, and then we are converting it to the numpy array, and then we are sending it all these variables to this error function. And once you give all these arguments to this error function, we get the residual from this error function, and we just do a square of it to get this mean residual value, so which we are printing here, and the value that we have got is 2.63 e power minus 7. So if you look at here, the Neumann BC value is 2.6 power minus 7. And next is the operator BC. In the operator BC, what we are doing here is we are applying the boundary conditions at the right end for the double derivative and the triple derivative. Here keep in mind, so here in the Neumann BC we just evaluated the first derivative, but in the operator BC we are evaluating second and the third derivatives. So this is what the advantage of operator BC actually. So you can basically apply and evaluate the higher order derivatives. So if you look at here, in the same way like Neumann BC, we are creating a input tensor with requires grad is equals to true at 1.0, unlike here it is 0.0, and here we are telling that the boundary point lies at this 1.0, and then we are passing it to the net. But here is the caveat, we are sending the same arguments for this OBC1. OBC1 means operator boundary condition 1. So but we are not telling anything like evaluate the double derivative or evaluate the triple derivative in this error function. So it knows actually, because at operator BC1 the function involved is this one, boundary second derivative. And to use this boundary second derivative function, it requires a second order derivative which it can evaluate from this here. The only thing is the input and output values are differentiable, that we are setting it here. So if you send this tensors, so these two tensors are differentiable. So using that boundary condition second order and boundary condition third order functions, so it will evaluate the corresponding derivatives and it gives you the residuals for operator boundary condition 1 and operator boundary condition 2. So here I am evaluating this mean residual values. So if you look at here, the mean residual value for operator boundary condition 1 is 1.433 e power minus 7, that is this, and 2.809 e power minus 9, that is this. And similarly, when you look at the Robin BC, this Robin BC is also a combination of this primary field variable and the first derivative. So we need the input and output tensors to be differentiable. So we definitely require this, requires grad is equals to true. This is essential. and after that we are sending all this input arguments. The input arguments wise they are same actually. The only difference is if you have a boundary condition that involves derivatives, then you need to send tensors that are differentiable, which you can get only from this model.net. So that's the main thing that you need to focus on. If you use Dirichlet BC, which doesn't involve any kind of derivatives, you can simply use model.predict function where you don't require to operate with any of the derivatives. So that's all for this tutorial. I hope you got a clear understanding of the differences between model.predict and model.net and how to use them effectively in your pin projects to extract residuals from the boundary conditions. If you have any questions or doubts, feel free to ask them in the comment section below. We would love to help you out. If you found this tutorial helpful, please hit the like button and considering subscribing to our channel. It's a great motivation for us to keep creating more tutorials like this and sharing knowledge with the community. See you in the next tutorial. Thank you for watching. Happy learning.